It might seem exciting to buy a lottery ticket, but remember the odds are quite low. And let's say even if you do win the jackpot, the headache doesn't end there. Believe it or not, some lottery winners face terrible challenges, like being sued. That's right, many lottery winners have ended up in court right after winning jackpots. Let's hear the surprising stories of when this happened. Number 10. Family drama. In January 2023, a man from Lebanon, Maine, bought a lottery ticket that ended up being worth a fortune. He won the Mega Millions jackpot. Let us rephrase that. He won one of the largest in U.S. history. He won about $500 million after taxes. Thanks to state laws in Maine, he could claim his winnings anonymously. He hoped this would help keep his life normal, but things quickly got complicated. A few months later, in November, we heard that the winner, who's referred to as John Doe in court documents, had sued his wife for breaking a non-disclosure agreement. She had agreed to keep his win a secret to protect their family's privacy and their daughter's future until she turned 18 in 2032. Unfortunately, she told John's father and stepmother about the jackpot, and soon enough, his sister also found out. John took serious legal action against her. He demanded his wife pay $100,000 for every person she had told about the win, and required her to disclose everyone she had informed. Now, wait for the big surprise. After suing his wife, John himself got sued by his father. The lawsuit claimed that John had promised to share his wealth with his father. According to the father, John had come to his house in early 2023, revealing his win and discussing how he intended to use the money, including building a garage full of old cars for his dad to work on, buying the house where he grew up, setting up a $1 million trust fund for his father, and covering medical expenses for his father and stepmother. Despite insisting that he had never asked for money, his father felt that John had not followed through on his promises and decided to take legal action. After fighting the case for some time, John gave in. He told his lawyer to just find out what his father wanted and pay double to resolve the issue. Despite all the family drama, John tried to make good on some of his intentions. He planned to set up a $1 million trust fund for his father, which would provide a monthly stipend and ensure that his father could have 24-hour care if needed. He said that he just wants to keep him out of assisted living. Just 1 year after his massive lottery win, John's life has turned upside down. What was meant to be a stroke of good fortune has instead led to family strife, proving that sometimes money brings more problems than solutions. But sometimes you are lucky and get away with it, like this next winner. Number 9. The stolen ticket. On Valentine's Day 2023, Edwin Castro, a California resident, claimed a Powerball jackpot from a draw held the previous November. This wasn't just any win, it was the largest lottery jackpot ever recorded. Castro's win narrowly missed making him a billionaire by less than $3 million. His winning ticket had perfectly matched all 5 numbers, plus the Powerball in the record-setting draw on November 7, 2022, which ultimately totaled $2.04 billion. In the year following his win, Castro bought 3 homes in California and added several vintage cars to his collection, including 2 Porsches. However, his new life as a near-billionaire was not as peaceful as you think. The same month Castro was identified as the jackpot winner, a man named Jose Rivera brought forth a civil complaint in Alhambra Superior Court. Rivera claimed the jackpot rightfully belonged to him. He accused Castro of having stolen the winning ticket with the assistance of Irachi F. Romero. According to Rivera, he had purchased the ticket at Joe's Service Center in Altadena, California on November 7th, the day of the draw. Rivera alleged that Romero took the ticket from him on the same day and ignored his repeated demands for its return. Despite Rivera's claims, the California State Lottery Commission confirmed Castro as the legitimate winner after a thorough vetting process. They stated that all procedures to verify the ticket and the claim were correctly followed, thereby finalizing Castro's status as the true recipient of the $2.04 billion jackpot. Castro got lucky with this one, but it's not always that the law sides with you. Number 8. Lottery Buddies. In Elizabeth, New Jersey, a group of 6 Portuguese-American construction buddies had a long-standing tradition. They would always pool their cash for lottery tickets. It was their little gamble that finally made them winners in November 2009. But the thing is, no one knew. Americo Lopez, who was entrusted by the friends to buy the tickets, hit the jackpot and decided to not tell anyone about it. Instead of shouting from the rooftops about their win, Lopez resigned from his job with a dubious excuse about needing foot surgery. His friends, none the wiser, wished him well. No one had any clue. Then, in 2010, the bombshell dropped. One of the gang spotted an online picture of Lopez grinning with a massive lottery check. Feeling stabbed in the back, the crew took the fight to court. They argued that the winning ticket was bought with their shared stash, making them rightful co-winners. Lopez countered, claiming he bought that golden ticket on his solo dime. But the jury didn't buy any of his stories. They sided with the friends, ruling that Lopez had to split the winnings. As the verdict, Lopez had to share the winnings with his group of 5. Number 7. The Biggest Tip. In March 1999, Tonda Lynn Dickerson's life changed. Edward SUED was a regular at the Waffle House where Tonda worked. SUED tipped her with a lottery ticket instead of cash. And guess what? That ticket ended up winning Tonda $10 million. She chose to take her winnings in yearly payments of $275,000 for 3 years and quit her job as a waitress. But the good times did not last long. Her former colleagues claimed Tonda had promised to share any lottery winnings with them. Her co-workers sued her. They testified that they had an oral agreement. The court initially sided with them. During this time, Edward SUED, the man who gave her the winning ticket, also claimed that Tonda had promised him a new truck if she won. This led to another legal fight, although the court eventually ruled that such a promise was not legally binding, which worked in Tonda's favor. In a shocking turn of events, her ex-husband, Stacy Martin, kidnapped her at gunpoint. He thought he could force her to hand over some of her winnings. During the kidnapping, Tonda managed to defend herself and shot Stacy, who survived the encounter. After that, Tonda also faced a massive $1 million gift tax and significant income taxes after investing in a family business. These financial burdens weighed heavily on her, proving that winning the lottery was not the dream it seemed to be. Instead of solving her problems, the jackpot brought more stress and complications and turned Tonda's life upside down. Number 6. The Betrayal. Now let's hear the surprising story of Denise Rossi, who won $1.3 million from the California lottery. She was married to Thomas for 25 years, but suddenly Denise decided to file for divorce. Little did Thomas know, Denise had just become a millionaire through the lottery. Denise hid her windfall from everyone, including her husband. She was so careful that she even used her mother's address to collect her winnings, all to keep Thomas in the dark. But secrets don't stay buried forever. 2 years after their divorce, a letter from the lottery company, which was intended for Denise, mistakenly landed in Thomas's hands. Thomas was shocked by the revelation. He felt betrayed and took his case to court. He argued that since the money was won during their marriage, it should be split between them. Denise admitted she hid the win to prevent Thomas from claiming any part of it. However, the judge did not side with her. The court found Denise guilty of fraud and malice and decided to give every cent of her lottery win to Thomas. In trying to keep all of her lottery money to herself, Denise ended up losing it all. Her decision not only cost her the lottery prize, but also damaged her relationship with her ex-husband. Denise's story shows us that keeping big secrets in a marriage can turn a dream win into a nightmare. Number 5. The Greedy Fellows. This is the story of Abraham Shakespeare, a man from Florida, where he made a living picking oranges for a mere $8 an hour. Shakespeare was barely scraping by with $5 in his pocket. His life was anything but easy. He also spent some time in prison for minor offenses. Abraham hustled through odd jobs, from washing dishes to hauling trash, just trying to make ends meet. Then, in November 2006, luck struck in an unlikely way. While cruising on a nighttime food delivery run with a buddy named Michael Ford, Abraham decided to throw his last $5 on a couple of quick-pick lottery tickets at a local mini-mart. Turns out, that was the best investment he ever made, because he won a jaw-dropping $31 million. Abraham opted for the lump sum and walked away with over $17 million post-taxes. You would think this windfall would have solved all his problems, right? Wrong. Despite the millions, Abraham's wallet thinned out fast with loans, a mortgage, child support, and a trust fund for his son. Just as he was trying to make sense of his millionaire status, Michael Ford claimed he deserved the winning ticket. He argued that he was the one who actually bought it. Abraham wasn't having any of it, and luckily the courts backed him up. But just when you thought Abraham's problems were over, he vanished in April 2009. Poof. Gone without a trace. His family reported him missing. They plastered flyers with his face around the community. Later, it came to light that D.D. Moore, who had befriended Abraham under the guise of writing a book about his life story, had murdered him and stolen his money. In January 2010, Moore was found guilty of murdering Abraham and was sentenced to life. Number 4. The unluckiest winner. Andrew Jackson Whitaker Jr. was a building contractor from West Virginia. He hit the jackpot in 2002 when he took home $114 million from a massive $315 million Powerball draw. It was the largest pot ever won by a single ticket in the U.S. at the time. After grabbing the cash, Whitaker and his family flew off to New York in a private jet for some TV time on the morning shows. But how quickly the glitter turned to gloom. The windfall brought more problems than solutions. Whitaker drowned in requests for money, which got so bad he often said he wished he had just ripped up the tickets. His personal life spiraled too. His wife left him, and his home became the center of repeated tragedies and scandals. In 2004, a friend of his granddaughter who had issues with drug addiction was found dead at his house. Tragically, his granddaughter passed away just 3 months later. After that, his daughter died in 2009 after a long battle with cancer. To add to his misfortunes, a fire destroyed one of his homes in 2016. Whitaker also struggled with alcoholism and gambling, and he became a target for thieves. One famous incident happened when a briefcase full of cash was stolen from his car while at a strip club, though it was later recovered. As if this wasn't enough, Whitaker faced DUI charges and was also sued by casino employees. He was accused of assaulting 3 female casino employees. After living a life of troubles, Whitaker passed away at the age of 72. It just shows that winning the lottery doesn't always mean you're lucky. Number 3. Deep in debt. The next is the story of Bud Post. Bud Post could not contain his happiness when he won the $32 million lottery jackpot. At the time, he was thinking it would solve all his financial problems. Bud was previously struggling and disabled. Then he had convinced his girlfriend and landlady to buy him 40 lottery tickets in exchange for his ring. It was a smart investment that paid off more than he could have imagined. However, Bud's lack of financial wisdom led him down a path of reckless spending. He showered his family with extravagant gifts, including leasing expensive restaurant spaces for his siblings, buying a used car lot for his brother, and even an airplane. His financial situation became so bad that he was deep in $500,000 of debt within just 3 months. He kept on with the extravagant spending despite his mounting debts. Bud purchased a $395,000 mansion. His life of indulgence soon spiraled out of control. The worst thing happened when his brother plotted to kill Bud and his sixth wife to inherit the lottery money. Fortunately, the plot was discovered in time, and his brother was arrested. However, Bud's troubles were far from over. He was sued by the woman who had bought the lottery tickets for him, as she claimed a right to part of his winnings. Despite spending $129,000 on legal fees, Bud lost the case and was ordered to pay her $5.5 million. He was forced to sell almost everything he owned. Things reached a breaking point when a creditor confronted Bud at his home about unpaid debts. At that time, he was overwhelmed by frustration and anger, so Bud shot the man. But he was then arrested. After his release, Bud was left to survive on a meager $450 monthly disability check and food assistance. So, what did we learn from his story? That a sudden windfall can lead to a downward spiral if you don't manage it wisely. Number 2. Compensation due. In 2004, Eworth Hoare, a life sentence inmate, hit the jackpot. He won £9 million in the UK National Lottery, which is equal to 11.3 million USD. But here's what's shocking. A man behind bars for a serious crime won millions while he was on a brief break from prison. After hearing about this unbelievable win, people were outraged and baffled at how a convicted criminal could land such a fortune. Among the stunned was Shirley, a survivor of Hoare's previous crime, which had landed him in prison in the first place. Seeing Hoare become a millionaire was the last straw. Shirley was so angry at this news that she decided to sue him. Her aim was to claim some of that windfall as compensation for the trauma she endured because of him. The court battle turned into a landmark case that climbed all the way to the UK's highest court. Shirley's lawyers argued that victims should be able to claim compensation if the perpetrator later came into money, especially millions from a lottery win. The jury thought Shirley had a point, so they sided with her. In the end, Hoare had to pay £1 million or 1.27 million USD to Shirley, which was just a slice of his lottery pie. Shirley's quick action and the subsequent victory changed the rules of the game, ensuring that other victims could also have their day in court. She was in the right here and she won. But sometimes you don't get the reward even if your claim is legitimate, like this next winner. Number 1. The worst girlfriend. Lynn Ann Poirier and Howard Browning were a couple from Sanford, Florida. She had this unique agreement. If either won the lottery, they would split the winnings 50-50. Not just casual players, they often drove to neighboring states like Georgia and South Carolina to chase the bigger jackpots. On June 2, 2007, during one of their regular buys at a local convenience store, they both purchased tickets for Florida's Firecracker Millionaire raffle. The draw came and went, and on July 4th, Poirier mysteriously did not return home. Browning was puzzled and worried at that point. He checked their usual ticket stash on the mantle and noticed the winning ticket was missing. It turned out Poirier had cashed in the winning ticket for $750,000 after taxes and disappeared for a month. When she finally returned, Browning demanded his half as per their agreement, but Poirier refused. After 6 months of fighting, Browning sued Poirier for breaching their verbal contract. Poirier argued there was no such agreement. She claimed that she had bought the ticket on her own, and they'd already split before the purchase. She even said their meeting at the store that night was coincidental. Browning, however, insisted they were still a couple, and had even dined together that evening. The legal battle got complicated when Poirier brought up Florida's statute of frauds, which requires contracts not executable within a year to be in writing. Since the lottery win came 14 years after their alleged agreement, her lawyer argued that the oral contract was void. Initially, the court sided with Poirier, but Browning took his case to the Florida Supreme Court, which overturned the earlier decisions. The court declared that the agreement, being potentially fulfillable within a year, was enforceable even without being written down. The case went back to trial, and in 2016, Browning won. The court ordered Poirier to pay Browning $291,000. However, the victory was bittersweet. Soon after the judgment, Poirier declared she had spent all the money and filed for bankruptcy. How unlucky for Browning. He lost his relationship and also his money. And that's it. These were the stories of lottery winners who ended up in court right after they won. These were just unlucky. But there are some lottery winners who lose their fortune all by themselves because of big mistakes. Want to know what kind of mistakes they make? Check out our next video where we'll show you the faces of the dumbest lottery winners of 2024. You won't believe what they did. Click to watch now.